What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update, and the transfer window is in full swing, with Spurs getting their third signing of the summer on Friday, with Yves Bissouma coming to Tottenham. But Romano is saying there are plenty more signings to come. So Tottenham fans are very, very excited out there, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the summer brings. Apparently, we want all our targets in the next few weeks, so it's going to be a very busy few weeks. And to help us through those busy few weeks, while my brother is on his honeymoon, we have the one and only Brian Daigle. How are we doing, Brian?
We are doing great, Stephen. It's been a wonderful day. I've been with my nephews and my niece and my dad, obviously, and the family for Father's Day. And I am getting very, very This is me. I am very, very, very excited with what's been going on. And like you said, I saw today that they said that the next 3 weeks are going to be like a merry-go-round. It's going to be fast-paced, and I can't wait for this ride. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's been a manic week for my brother getting married and everything that obviously comes with that, but more manic has been the transfer news and the transfer business. So let's get right into it. And we start with some news coming out today from Gianluca Di Marzio, who we obviously know very well. And he says Tottenham are interested in Gabriel Jesus and will give it a go to try and make a late bid to sign him. They also say that they are currently moving under the radar to make a move for Gabriel Jesus at the final hour. But Arsenal are still front runners. And for me, as much as I like Gabriel Jesus and I appreciate his quality, I do think he's a pretty good Premier League striker. I think it makes more sense for him to move to Arsenal, just from a logical point of view. Obviously, we offer Champions League football, and we have probably a better team and everything surrounding that. But in terms of his situation, having a good relationship with Arteta, and the fact that he's been playing second fiddle for so long, and he wants to come out of that, I don't think Tottenham's the best place for him right now, because I think he would be playing second fiddle quite a bit to Harry Kane. As much as I think he would get a lot of game time at Tottenham, I do think he would be playing too much second fiddle as he would have when he was at City. So for me, it doesn't make too much sense. But if we can convince him, it would be a good signing.
Do you know what I have to say? That the way you started that, Spurs and moving under the radar. How nice does that sound? It sounds like such a wonderful thing, but I am a fan of his. I am a big fan of Jesus, and I think he really could do a job. And like you said, Simon, he's going to demand big money. We know that for sure. And if they're handing out 100 grand for Eddie Hincapie, God knows what they're going to give this guy. And like you said, he's leaving City because his first team football is seriously under question now. As it was under question for the last couple of years, but now you bring in a Haaland and what's the other name of the player they brought? It slipped my mind.
Alvarez.
That's it. They brought him in, so you can see he's moving down the pecking order, and I don't see him moving to another club, especially in a World Cup year, where he's going to be moving down the pecking order again. So I really would like to see it, but I think the filth may just shade it with us. But we've got other irons in the fire, haven't we, with this position?
Exactly. I don't look for us. The difference is for us and for Arsenal is they're signing him to be the main man. We're signing him to add depth, and that just shows the levels of the squad right now. And that's the main difference. And from Jesus' point of view, I think with the quality of Harry Kane, it's unlikely he's ever going to be really the truly main man for the big games and stuff like that. Whereas at Arsenal, he knows he's going to be getting that time on the pitch. And you have to ask a few questions in general when it comes to Jesus, in terms of the fact that City for the last 2 years haven't had a striker, and he still has struggled to maintain the number one spot. And if he was as good as everyone makes out to be, and I'm not saying he's not a good player, I do think he's a good player, but if he was the player to take Arsenal to the next level, why was he struggling so much, even when they didn't have a striker to nail down that number 9 spot? And I think that is a question that I guess will be answered once he does move, and see how he does when he is a regular starter.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Simeon. And you look at it, like you said, he's been a jack of all trades and master of none, really, at Man City, hasn't he? He came with this big potential and this thing. Right, here he comes. This is the next Ronaldo, or as in R9. And he just hasn't been able to hold down a regular place. He just really hasn't. I think he's got all the potential. I think he's got all the potential too, if he finds that right team and gets given that chance, that he will succeed. But with a Mikel Arteta, I know there's the Pep link and he used to work with him, but really, you're going to... And as we've known all week, you've been wearing me down with this Richarlison talk. I'm very close to ordering my Richarlison sandwich board and ringing my bell. So yeah, I think what Richarlison can bring is a bit more steel, a bit more determination, a bit more drive, and I think it's nice to hear we're under the radar. And there's actually the great thing about this is that there's actually some substance behind it. You can now say, with the way we're dealing this summer, do you know what? We could be doing this. We could pull this off, as opposed to like a pipe dream of the last few seasons. But yeah, I think Arsenal might get this one done before or over the line before we do.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I wouldn't hold your breath on it, but it looks like we are making a final hour attempt to try and convince him to come to Tottenham. And you never know, if we can convince him that his game time is going to be sufficient and that we're a better project, then maybe that is something that could get over the line. But I'm not going to hold my breath, and I'm not going to be too bothered about losing out on him either way, because I don't think he's the be all and end all for our options anyway. So anyway, moving on, we have a bit of a We Are Tottenham exclusive for the next one, and this is about Evan Ndicka. And this, first of all, Foot Mercato wrote a report saying that Tottenham are currently in pole position to sign Eintracht Frankfurt's Evan Ndicka, who obviously won Europa League last season with Frankfurt, and he was exceptional in their back three. And we actually got a tip off from our source who gives us some reliable information, and he told us that Evan Ndicka, Spurs are currently, he's claimed secretly negotiating with Frankfurt for Evan Ndicka at the moment. However, he doesn't believe that Ndicka is our currently number one option, but he does think that Ndicka has entered our top three options as of now, because Gvardiol and Bastoni look like they're going to be impossible to do. So he's saying those two are probably ruled out, and that's put Ndicka in our top three options. And we're currently negotiating for him, but he doesn't believe that he's our first choice as of yet. But look, I've seen quite a bit of Ndicka. I think he's had a great season at Frankfurt. He's 22 years of age, French left-footed centre-back, super aggressive, really likes to get forward. When he gets forward, he can be something, he can be really quick. It can be like a pacey winger at times. However, he does have a bit of a Sanchez element when it comes to him being on the ball, like in deep positions. He can look a bit uncomfortable, but at 22 years of age, maybe that's something he can improve on.
So I'm still going to say that I actually did a poll on it today on Tottenham Tour that I still think Bastoni's getting done. I don't know why. This is me, and we know how I normally feel about things like this. I've just got something that's telling me this deal's going to get done. So I still think he's number one. But this guy, from what you're saying, I mean, I only saw bits in the late stages of the Europa League. Aggressive, young, can play from the back. Options, like you said, going forward with playing the ball. It sounds like the attributes that Conte wants, doesn't it? So if we can find someone, and it's got a lot of Paratici sleight of hand, this transfer window going, hasn't it? Where these names are coming out, and but by the sounds of what you're saying, he could be just a ticket.
Well, the I guess two other things that are in favour of this deal are, number one, he has 1 year left on his contract,
okay,
so that makes him a quite attainable asset. And number two, he has the same agent as Yves Bissouma. So these are two things that could potentially swing the deal in our favour. However, you could argue it's a bit of a risk. He's only had this is his first real breakout season. We don't really know how consistent he will be. He hasn't really been doing it for year in, year out. He's still young. But from what he showed this season, maybe it's a gamble worth taking, potentially. And he's one that defensively is really strong, really aggressive, top of a lot of the defensive metrics. When it comes to goals and assists, getting from left centre-back, he's also fairly high. His passing, though, needs improving, and maybe that's something to work on. But look, I always feel it's a bit weird when we talk about players who are 21, 22 and saying, oh, they're not good at this and not good at that. It's like, well, they're 21, 22. They could always get better at it. You know what I mean? And a lot of players do with the right coaching.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I will add to this, and what I really am enjoying about this transfer window, you look at Bissouma, buying these players last year of their contracts, obviously their value is a very, very attainable price. And the second we get them, whether it works or not, their value rockets. Yeah. So it's not like we're buying an Ndombele for 65 million, and then if it doesn't work, we're struggling. We get in Basuma, and Basuma we know will work in the Premier League. You bring in someone like this, and it maybe doesn't work. The way things are going now, be like, right, you haven't worked out the door, but your value, you will be able to get that profit. You will be able to move them on quicker. So I like the way we're doing this. And like you said, Conte, we've seen what he can do in improving players in what they're weakest at. He is improving players. So from what you were saying, the passing and maybe has a bit of a Davinson Sanchez in him, these are all things. Look at Davinson Sanchez the last few games of the season.
Yeah.
All right, it was only a few games, but those faults were ironed out. We all know how we felt when Sanchez was named in the Arsenal starting lineup, and look what happened. So Conte can do this with players.
Definitely, and at that young age, he's definitely moldable, isn't he, with the right coaching? So that's definitely one for me to keep an eye on. I would definitely welcome him through the door. I think he's a class centre back, but obviously, people like Bastoni would be higher on my agenda, albeit more expensive. Next up, we have Tom Hopkinson of the Mirror, and he says that Tottenham are considering a move for Bayer Leverkusen centre-back Piero Hincapie as Antonio Conte's summer revamp continues. Now, he's a 20-year-old Ecuadorian centre-back, again, very similar in the way that he's left-footed, had a breakout season this season, playing very, very well for Bayer Leverkusen. Really aggressive, top of the defensive metrics in Bundesliga, and gets forward really well. So that's definitely one who could have a high ceiling, but 20 years of age, very, very young. So he would have a lot of responsibility if he's going to take Ben Davies's place.
Exactly. I mean, I can't confess to knowing a lot about this guy, but again, we're talking about youngsters. I think we do need to buy a bit of experience. I think we do need. Yes, we've got a Davies. Yes, we've got a Dyer. But I mean, Antonio Conte's standard has like a De Vrij, that kind of mold and that kind of age, just to be that calming influence. I know we've got Perisic to do it on the left and in the training ground, but I would like to see in this position or somewhere across that back line a real bit of experience signed in. But this guy, like you said again, has had a breakout season. 20 years old. It could be a punt worth taking, but I can't confess to knowing a lot about him.
Fair enough. It's interesting, though, that a lot of the centre-backs we've been linked with, whether it be Bastoni, Gvardiol, Ndicka, they're all very young. And, a lot of people they're all like early 20s or so. And a lot of people been worried about Conte, upping the average age of the squad, and because we obviously signed Perisic and Forster. But the signs are that we're not looking for players who are in their late 20s, early 30s, and in the majority, we're looking for young players who can develop and who have played got a bit of experience in top level football, but can develop into top class players, and not necessarily just really old experienced players who are definitely ready to slot in, which is interesting compared to what maybe some of the reservations have been on about Conte coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this summer we were going to go get Prime ready to go season.
I'm sure we will, but not every
exactly.
The
way we've been doing it has been, apart from the Perisic and the Foster, we have been looking at youth, which is kind of what Conte is not known for doing. But I think what may have happened with Paratici as well is Conte's probably seen that these guys do have attributes that he needs and works with and requires. Maybe it's the power, the pace, the stamina, the dedication and the motivation to train hard and do things. Maybe it's off the pitch qualities they're seeing in these players more than on the field, and then they can develop the on the field. So who knows? But it's a surprise to me that all these players have been a majority of a younger age.
Yeah, it looks good. Albeit the three players we have signed are Forster, Perisic, and Basuma. And Basuma's obviously ready to go in terms of being Prem ready. But in terms of like our left centre back role, we definitely seem to be looking for a younger centre backs, maybe looking towards the future as opposed to just right now, as a lot of people criticize Conte for. Next up, we're looking at another left centre back, and that's Lisandro Martinez of Ajax. And 90 Min Football, who are not the most reliable source, but they claim Arsenal are leading the race for Lisandro Martinez, but they face significant competition from other clubs, including Tottenham Hotspur. Now, The Athletic confirmed that Arsenal are definitely after him. He's an Argentine centre-back who starts for his country. He's really a bit of a pitbull centre-back, but his main attributes are on the ball, playing out the back. He's got a fantastic technique about him. He's a really good passer. However, The one reservation, I guess, about him would be that he's, I think, 5'8", and being a 5'8" centre back, that would lead to some question marks on whether he could physically compete with the more physical strikers and stuff like that when it comes into a more physical league, coming from Ajax, which is obviously a very, very technical league in Holland. So those would be the reservations, but it looks like Arsenal are leading the race for him.
So do you know what? It's so funny we've mentioned this guy now, because I was with Danny and his beautiful partner, Sana, at the weekend. I was with them yesterday, and they started talking about this. Now, obviously, Danny watches a lot of Ajax because of Sana, and Sana is a major Ajax fan. And when this rumour came out, I had about a 15, 20-minute conversation with them, waxing lyrical about just how good this guy is. Like, this guy is the real deal. I didn't even know his height. That's how good they were. They were talking about him. His height, until you told me, didn't even come into question. So the way they were talking about this guy, they said if he goes to Arsenal, the filth, it'll be like he'll revolutionise their defence. So for me, this guy, and you're talking about the centre of the three, yeah?
Oh, well, he's left-footed, and I know he plays on the left for Ajax, but obviously
Okay.
they don't play a back three, so it could be a centre and it could be on the left. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be more on the left, because I think he can play left back as well. So I think he would be more on the left centre back.
So there you go. I mean, if Bastoni doesn't come off or whatever, from what I was hearing, out of all the deals that could be, this is the one that excites me, just from the way Sana's eyes lit up and started talking about this guy. I had a lot of Dutch friends talk to me the same way about Jan Vertonghen. That's why I was so obsessed with Jan Vertonghen. When we were getting him, they're like, if you get this guy, you have no idea what. And there was a real big commotion about it. And yeah, this one excites me if it comes true. This is the one that would really excite me.
But it sounds like Arsenal at the moment stealing a march on us, as we have other priorities, it looks like, in terms of in that role. We don't believe, that looks like at the moment, we don't think he's the number one target, but we have to wait and see. Maybe that's one we could also make a late push for if other targets don't come off and Arsenal haven't got him yet. Moving on, Charlie Eccleshare of The Athletic, he has had his say on the Eriksen transfer, and he says, Man United have made an offer to sign Christian Eriksen, but the midfielder would like to stay in London, and it's a fight between re-signing with Brentford and rejoining Spurs. Now, if that is true, which is a lot of reports still saying that United at the moment how they only seem to make an offer, and they're obviously leading the race. But if it is true that he does want to stay in London, it is between Tottenham and Brentford. Surely there's only one choice he makes.
Yeah, with this, there could only be one choice, couldn't it? Unless he's really, really wanting to just guarantee first team football and carry on, and thank Brentford for giving him the opportunity after being released from Inter and letting him have a second chance in football. But you would have to say, if you're a betting man, or you'd have to put the 99.9% sure you think it would be Tottenham, wouldn't you? It's got to be not just because we're Spurs, but what we can offer him, how big our club is, where we're going, who our manager is, the competitions we're in. I think that's journalist talk for it's Tottenham.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that this still. I think he's still on holiday, so things are taking their time. But I think at the moment we have to be front runners for getting him over the line. I think it makes complete sense for everyone involved. He already has an established relationship with Spurs and the fans. He has a place in the team that definitely plugs the gap. He wants to be playing UCL football again, which he hasn't done for the last 18 months or so. He wants to be a bit in ambition, and he's already played under Conte, so surely this one can get done. But it's whether, I guess, we show that we're serious and wanting him back. We can guarantee him a lot of game time, which I think we can. And it just remains to be seen, but it's going to be intriguing. It's going to be a great story if he does end up coming back to Tottenham, and it'll get me super excited if it does happen.
It will do. I mean, Simeon, I was about to ask you. You were there at the Brentford away game, so you were obviously. I saw it on TV.
Yeah,
saw the reception, and obviously you were there and experienced it and saw him sign the shirts. That must have he probably knew how much Spurs fans think of him. All right, he left under a cloud, whichever way you want to say. Did he down tools, or was he just badly? Whatever way.
He was shy when he left. Let's be honest. It wasn't just him.
Yeah, I was very frustrated, disappointed with him. The way he left and the manner of it, of the last few months of him playing in the Spurs shirt. But that feeling that he would have got from you guys at Brentford must have just made him, opened him up again and realised, my God, I love that club and the people around it. So who knows how much of an influence that that ovation he got and the way he was treated at that game may have swayed his mind.
I'd hope so, because he definitely got a hero's welcome, and it was like he was one of our players that day, and he showed his appreciation, and we were obviously very grateful to see him back playing again. It made me very, very happy that he was back on the pitch and showing, and not just back on the pitch, and he was better than he's ever been, and that gave me so much delight seeing that on the pitch. And he was brilliant that game against us. I thought he was exceptional, and it just made me think, if we could have that back in our team, what a difference that can make. So let's keep our eye on that one. Next up is from the Times, and they're saying that Richarlison and Rafinha are both very high up on Paratici's list of potential attacking options this summer. Obviously, it's unlikely we get both of them. We also talked about making a late bid for Gabriel Jesus, but apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, that Barcelona could potentially be back in for Rafinha if with this new potential cash injection. And if that's the case, that could take him off the table. And it'll be interesting to see, because Arsenal apparently been after him. They're the ones who are looking more likely to get him at the moment. Obviously, I think we're looking more likely to get Richarlison, but it's interesting if Rafinha does come off the table and goes to Barcelona, what that means for other players. But obviously, if we get either of them, I'd be delighted.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very, very exciting players, aren't they? Obviously, this new cash coming into Barcelona is a concern for European football, because obviously if they get Lewandowski as well and they start putting bits together, then it's not going to take long to rebuild where they are. They've got some fantastic youth products coming through. Rafinha is a very, very, very exciting player. A very, very exciting player. But I really now with you, Richarlison, I think just offers. I've seen still on Twitter and other social media platforms, Everton fans are just waxing lyrical about this man and the effort he puts in. Like he leaves everything on the pitch. He works. He's kind of a cult hero. And when you hear fans saying that and saying when you see him live and on your team, he's one of those players that you would love on your team but hate playing against. That just hate playing against him. And those players can be very, very dangerous in a positive way for us. So I think this one's got more. I think this one's got a lot more weight to it. I think this one really has. And be excited. Either one. Listen, either one. We're not going to be. Oh damn it, are we? It's going to be a good deal either way. If you got both, I'll probably pass out or faint or think, what the hell is going on? And what the hell has happened to Levy? But yeah, I think it will be one. I think it will be Richarlison.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Richarlison makes the most sense at the moment. And I think as well, him being able to play up front is quite a big deal and gives us that versatility that we need. So I think Richarlison makes a lot of sense, but Rafinha is obviously maybe a bit of a better player. So obviously we're delighted if we get him as well. Next up, and Alistair Gold has been talking about a few things. Ari, Antonio Conte, and the makeup for the next season. He says Conte wants to get the idea out of his Tottenham squad's head that there is a set starting 11. He wants a squad of players all capable of pushing each other and performing when called upon. And this is what I've been talking about in terms of getting this idea out the head that, if we sign Richarlison, it's to play back up to this one or back up to that one, and people saying, he's only going to play 30% of games. Why would you want to come and sit on the bench and stuff like that? And even Jesus to an extent. We need to have players, especially with 5 subs, with the World Cup in mid-season, and with Champions League football, where the quality of opposition isn't going to drop it when we play on midweek like it did when we play Europa League and Conference League. We need to have a very similar level of player on the bench and in our squad compared to in our starting 11. So if we do have an injury to Kane or Son, or they just need a rest because Kane was playing in the red zone for most of the season and risking an injury, then there isn't a big drop off in quality, and that is going to be essential next season to being a successful season. And I think Spurs fans in general need to get the idea out of our heads that this guy's coming to play back up to X or back up to Y. We just need quality and depth in the squad and make sure the squad has as much quality as possible. And then next season, the chances of us having problems because of injuries or all that are going to be very, very low. And that's the main thing we need to make sure we come out of this summer is we have quality, strength in depth, which we haven't had for a long time. And I'm glad that we're starting to realise that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, Stephen. I've been saying it about Son and Kane for ages, but even when I'm on the shows with you and Ben, when I say that they're overplayed and undervalued, and when I say undervalued, I've never ever meant financially or anything like that. I mean, if they're fit, they play. They're fit, they play. They're fit, they play. Then an injury comes. It's like, what are we going to do? Who's going to go there? With a World Cup coming up, with the Champions League, with what looks like we are going to be pushing for third or even trying to mount a rival title bid with Liverpool and City. Obviously, I don't think we've managed to withstand it, but you need players fit. You need players fresh. You need players to know that if you screw up once, your place isn't assured. You are in the danger zone. You are literally, and we need to keep these players fresh. I saw you and Ben report when Harry Kane has been in this red zone for how many games he's.
Mm-hmm.
That's worrying injury wise, and obviously for the country as well as obviously for us. And that's what we need. We need a team that go in and think, you know what, if I work hard, I train hard, and I put in the effort, I put in the hours, I put in the dedication, I could be playing on Saturday or Wednesday, whenever it may be. Not, oh yeah, if Harry Kane's fit, I'm not playing, or if Højbjerg. That's what you need. You need a band of brothers, like we had under Poch. When we look at Poch, and we look what Rose and Trippier, Rose and Davies and Walker and Trippier did. And it didn't matter what happened when other players came in. Pochettino had them in such a way. If Dyer's out, you go there, you do his job. It was like literally, and that's what we need. We need someone that it doesn't matter who's in there. They know the position and what they're doing and the role that is in that position. And the longer we can keep them fresh and chomping at the bit, the better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you look at other examples, for example, like Liverpool. First of all, if you look at City, you couldn't probably name a front three, which is their strongest front three. It could be any of them. And that's obviously the beauty they have. When you look at Liverpool, obviously they have Mane and Salah. Or obviously Mane's leaving now, but they have had Mane and Salah for the majority to the last few years. But, you look at Diaz and Jota and you don't think, oh, they're playing second fiddle to Mane and Salah. You don't think that because they get loads of game time. Diaz can come in on the left-hand side and Mane or Salah can go on the bench. And they can do that in Champions League games and no one bats an eye because the quality isn't a massive drop-off and they still sustain that quality. So it's not much of a talking point. And we need to get to a stage where we're at the same level. We need to get to a stage where we can rest. We can, if Kane has a great Premier League game and we've got a big Champions League game coming up, we have to be in a position where if Kane is struggling with fitness, we can say, okay, you know what, Kane, you start this game on the bench and we're going to go with Richarlison or we're going to go Gabriel Jesus for this game. And if we need you, we'll bring you on. But hopefully we've got good quality. So we don't have to think twice about giving you a rest. But as the current situation is, it has to be a really tough, long conversation because if Kane isn't there, then we don't really have anyone. And that's always been the struggle. So hopefully this season we can address that issue and get some quality forward players. And although it's going to be expensive for a player, technically you're thinking, why would we spend 50 million on a player who might be on the bench? We have to stop thinking like that because if we continue thinking like that, we're never going to get anywhere. We're always going to be struggling for depth. And we need to actually sign players who are going to push Kane to get better, push Son to get better, and actually allow them to get rested and even maybe take their place if they're not playing well. That's what we need. And that's, because both Kane and Son, as good as they are, and they're wonderful world-class players, they also go through periods occasionally where they're not playing that well, and maybe they could do with either being dropped or rested for a 2 or 3 game period. And at the moment, we just can't do that.
No, without doubt. Like you said, you mentioned about fitness, but there are days when they are having off days, and not just Kane and Son. They're obviously just the easiest ones to pick out with how vital they are. And there were times where Kane was having an off game, for instance, and you just could not take him off because you knew if he had one moment, one chance, it could. And the other thing is, you looked at our bench, there was just nothing close to having that. With no disrespect to them on the bench, but now it's like, you know what, Kane may be having an off day. We've got a Champions League game or a big game the week after. Do you know what? Let's hook him off with 20 minutes to go. Let him rest. Let him whatever. And obviously on comes Richarlison, who will give you a completely different, not just a different kind of play, but a different threat. This is going to be power. This is going to be like non-stop. He's going to be biting at your ankles. It's going to be pressure. He's going to be pushing from the front. So to have these options, especially like you said, I mean, for me, I think I've underestimated just how different and how big the magnitude is of 5 substitutes.
Yeah.
It's such a game changer. And we need to make sure. Can you look at the bench we had yesterday at the end of last season? Can you imagine if we hadn't improved?
Okay.
We had to have 2 more youngsters.
Yeah.
It would have been absolutely shambolic. So getting this strength in depth is pivotal.
And just going to end off the talking points with two players who could potentially be going out on loan. First of all, Papa Mate Sarr. Alistair Gold says Conte will take time to assess Papa Mate Sarr in pre-season, then decide whether he would benefit more from 6 months in England or a loan to a league with similar demands to the Premier League. And we'll be talking. And Troy Parrott is quoted. He's been talking about potentially next season what it looks like, and he says all I can do is try to impress whoever is there, and that's what I fully intend to do when I go back there for pre-season. For you, for me, actually, if I give my opinion, I think Parrott definitely needs another loan deal. As much as I think he's doing really well at the moment, scoring for Ireland, which is not easy, at 20 years of age on the international stage. That's not an easy thing to do. So he's doing really well, and he's doing well for MK Dons. So I think a loan to the Championship or lower end of the Premier League would do good for him, and that would really bring on his development, see where he's really at. I don't think he's ready for the Tottenham first team just yet. But on Papa Mate Sarr, I am more willing to allow him, as much as I think a loan deal could also be good for him. I actually think with his quality and maybe adding an extra number in centre mid, it could be worth us just keeping him for 6 months. If we do play a 3 in the middle, keeping him as a bit of depth and see how he does. And if he does do really well, obviously we've got another great midfielder there. And if he still needs some time to adjust, then maybe in January send him back out on loan.
Yeah, so I'll do Papa Mate Sarr first. So I think I'm loving what I'm hearing coming out of Conte, where he's going to try, but he straight away to hear those words, send out to an English club was the first thing. And then obviously if he can't find an English club somewhere like the English league. I was so annoyed with Brian Hill going out to Valencia. It's like, why come to England? You know where you're doing well in Spain, and then just go to a league that is so not like the Premier League that you're not going to gain the physicality or anything that you need to do. So with Mate Sarr, I think even if it's a championship team somewhere, not necessarily a Premier League team, fantastic. If not, possibly the German league. But I think he will go out on loan. But it's good that he's going to take the pre-season to have a look at him and then decide. When it comes to Troy Parrott, I just wish he does need another loan, but I hope over the summer we announce Jermaine Defoe will be doing his coaching badges at the club, because I reckon 6 months training with Jermaine Defoe could do this, and then send him out on loan in January could do this kid the world of good. I really, really do. Getting Jermaine Defoe with him. But you're right, I do think this season's too soon for him for first team. Mm-hmm. But he's on the road to the right tracks with the loan spells, isn't he? He had a few bad ones, but now he looks like he's found the one that he's on the right path.
And he's been pictured in Mykonos doing some work over the summer. So it looks like his attitude is definitely, wards in question. It definitely seems to be back on the right track, and he seems to be improving. And I'm really happy with how he seems to be performing of late. And when you're getting goals at international level, this is like full men's international level, not under 21s or anything. That's definitely something. I don't care who you're playing for. At 20 years old, if you're getting goals for internationals, that's something to sit up and take notice. So fair play to him. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Brian, thank you for joining me as always. Go check out Tottenham Tour if you haven't. As always, link will be in the title. But thanks again, Brian, for your contributions. See you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on,
you Spurs.